Hey everyone, this is the Random Podcast. I'm Brandon.
I'm Blakely.
And this time around, we are starting off with it's not really a blind ranking, but we're doing our top 5 comedy movies and top 5 comedy actors. So we're just going to kind of go back and forth, starting off with the movies. Now what we did, if you like the whole series, we count it as one. So like Austin Powers, Ace Ventura, Grown Ups,
Joe Dirt,
Ride Along, Joe Dirt, which I would doubt anybody has the second one in there. Paul Blart, anything with it has to have more than one, obviously. My first one up is Ace Ventura, the whole series. To me, it's one of the funniest series of all time. And it's rare where you can say 2 is better than 1. Usually sequels are not better than the original. But I would say that's my first one.
My first one is The Waterboy. So many iconic one-liners.
True.
I think it wasn't, of course, Adam Sandler's biggest movie, but then over time, I think when people think about Adam Sandler, they think about, of course, Happy Gilmore and Billy Madison. But I think Waterboy. I don't know why I'm making a case for Adam Sandler, but Waterboy's up there as one of my
Adam
favorites.
Sandler shill. And this was not easy for, I think, either one of us.
No.
Because
we love comedy movies.
2/3 of my list could have easily been all Adam Sandler. It could have been all Jim Carrey. It could have been all Robin Williams, all Eddie Murphy. These are ones that are, I would say, special.
That you can watch all the time.
And I've saw Ace Ventura so many times. I actually had to buy another DVD because I watched it so many times. My next one is Black Sheep. Now, anybody who grew up with Chris Farley is going to have a Chris Farley movie, I think, on their list. There were so many to choose from. You have Beverly Hills Ninja, Black Sheep, Tommy Boy. Most famous is the one where he's one of the explorer type. I can't even remember the name of that movie. But Black Sheep's my second one.
I got Austin Powers movies. I just really like the comedy aspects of was it 60s or 70s?
I think it was 60s.
Kind of making fun of the time of James Bond movies, kind of.
Yeah, they were considered a James Bond spoof.
A parody movies. And I think why am I blanking on his name right now? What's his name?
Myers?
Yeah, Mike Myers. I don't know why I blanked on his name.
Not to be confused with the serial killer, Michael Myers.
But I can watch those movies anytime. People forget Beyonce was in the third one.
Yeah, a lot of people want to forget the third one.
But I like all 3 of the movies. I think they're very funny. I laugh out loud every time. The lines are still hilarious.
You go LOL, LOL.
Yeah. The bed when he's spinning around in the bed in the motel.
That's the greatest part.
Or the plane in the first one.
And the part where she goes sex and he goes, yes please.
One-liners, man.
Well, and you know how I feel about Will Ferrell, but the part where they're at the beginning, he plays Fez or whatever his name is.
Blind guy.
And you have the
Mini
other guy
Me
where they're sitting around the table. And he
goes down in the he makes some remark and Dr. Evil makes him go down in the fiery pit or whatever.
Yeah. And I'm talking about the other hitman, the Irishman, where he's telling the story and he goes, and they're always trying to steal me Lucky Charms and what was her name? The woman.
Yeah.
What is her name? I can't even remember her name, but she just starts laughing, and he's like, "What?
Touch my Lucky Charm."
What? They're always trying to steal me Lucky Charms, and they're always laughing.
And they only make like a
And if you notice too, I don't know why it's not even on my list, but I'm going hard for the first one. He always has like something, to tell him to shut up. He's like, zip it, and he's got, I got to hold back, shh. And
then asking for $1 million.
Yes. He's like, well, that's not much money.
And then Mini Me.
You had number 2.
It was good. When did the big man come in?
That was the second one.
I think
Fat B. Was in the second one.
Was the first one where he's in the bathroom.
The first one doesn't really have many guest stars. It's kind of like just the
where he says, "Who does number 2 work for?"
Yeah, he's beating them up, and then Tom Arnold's like, "What did you eat?" Yeah, we might have to do a review
of those movies.
Of those, but
that's my number 2. That should have been my number 1.
My number 3, and these are not in a specific order for me.
I like putting mine in order for some reason. It's just
mine. Third one is Happy Gilmore, for the same reason you mentioned Waterboy. As much as I love Waterboy, Happy Gilmore is just, I don't know. It's one of those that, like, all his sports movies are iconic because
Shooter McGavin.
Shooter McGavin is one of my favorite villains of all time. The little Ben Stiller part is kind of funny to me. It's kind of not, and it is. But then Chubbs, him beating up the alligator, him getting Bob Barker whooping his tail. Jaws in it as the big giant guy, and he's like, "You want to say that again, Shooter?" And he looks over, he's like, "Fast walks," I mean, it's great, And then anybody who's ever played putt-putt at the end where he has to hit the golf ball and it goes and finally goes, that was a great part. But that's my number 3.
My number 3 is the same thing. Happy Gilmore is number 3.
Adam Gilmore.
I'm gonna go off what you said. It's the same reason why I love it. You can watch it anytime. Yeah. And they're coming, and I'm really excited for the new one coming out.
You could say Adam Gilmore, Happy Sandler. Sorry, I'm an idiot. My number 4, and I don't know how many people's watched this, but for me, it's a classic. My Cousin Vinny. I don't even know if you've ever saw My Cousin Vinny, but Joe Pesci, Marissa Tomei, I can't remember some of the other people's names, but they were like the guy who played Off the Munsters.
Wasn't he a lawyer?
He was a lawyer, and Ralph Macchio, or Karate Kid, and his friend, they think that they killed the clerk and robbed the clerk, and then he has to go down there. He's, from, I think, like New York or something. It's a great movie. It's one of the funniest movies easily of all time. Joe Pesci, I don't think gets the acting credit he should, which neither does Marissa Tomei. But that movie is phenomenal. I mean, it's the whole movie's a laugh riot.
4 is Wayne's World. Again, there's just some with Michael Myers I like.
I like Dana Carvey.
Dana Carvey. I love. I forget. I love the. I just can't. I'm hard with names, but the second one was okay, but the first one is just iconic. The Wayne's World, it's just
the second one has moments, but the first one is just like the whole movie.
I love the first Wayne's World.
And a lot of people don't realize that was SNL characters. Like, they were originally SNL created, and then Mike Myers and David Spade, returned, or Dana Carvey returned. And Dana Carvey is hilarious. Like, his stand-up's good. He just recently got back on SNL. Yeah, that's an easy one. My number 5 is Wayne's World. And I actually had Mrs. Doubtfire there, and it was hard to change. Like I said, this 5 was very hard. Now, if we did 10, this probably would have been a lot easier. But Wayne's World, for me, I used to do a lot of the jokes from it. The part where they're playing the hockey in the street and then having to move for a car. Who hasn't done that as a kid? Having to get out of the road or get out of someone's way.
And they have to put it back in there.
Yeah, and then but the party on, or game on, or stuff like that. It's nothing but comedy, but they throw in everything else. There's
sad part.
Yeah, everything's in there. But that's my 5th.
My 5th, which ain't gonna be on a lot of people's top 5, is Joe Dirt. Just something about the movie I just find hilarious. I don't.
It's good. I'll agree. Especially I gotta leave Mike in the backup.
Yeah, I think it's just
pushed now.
It's just one of those movies where it wouldn't do good in this time.
No,
but I just like late '90s comedy movies. If you can't tell by my list, Um,
I'm gonna be honest with you. After what about 2005? Comedy's kind of dead for me. Because these are the type of comedy. It's not just like I say on both lists. It's not just phrases. It's like more slapstick. Kind of. Most of it now is, I don't know. It's innuendo after innuendo, and it's kind of like back then. They could make you laugh over falling down. Especially Chris Farley. Or Happy Gilmore, the way he would, the way Adam Sandler talks sometimes is like, that's to a child, but it's funny because he's doing it to a grown up, Billy Madison almost made my list because it's one of my favorite of all time, Hey, Mr. Penguin. I don't know. I used to do it a lot better. But instead of doing top 10, we did top 5 because we also did our 5 comedy actors. Now, my list is a little misleading because I have actors that are in the top 5, but not in the top 5 with movies. And I think that speaks more to they did so many. How do you choose one?
And they could be not the main movie. They could be side characters. Right. Well, not the main characters.
Right. Or it's some of those, like, I kind of took Mrs. Doubtfire off because to me it's more than just a comedy. There's... Most of these, I don't get my feelings. Mrs. Doubtfire got me more emotional.
It's about anything else. A husband trying to get back with his family.
So there was a lot more to it.
I don't think that's a ha-ha.
No, it was
it
was Hallmark, but good.
Yeah.
Actually, that's rude to Mrs. Doubtfire. It's like way better.
Yeah.
But my number one, and I didn't really put neither one of these in order, but I think in a way I'm in order, is Jim Carrey. And Jim Carrey not only had Ace Ventura, he had I can't even think of the name of it. The one where he couldn't tell a lie. I can
Liar Liar.
Liar Liar is one of the funniest movies of all time.
Was it no?
I think it was Liar Liar.
I think it was.
You had that. You had the remake called Fun with Dick and Jane, which was a remake, but it was hilarious. You had
The Cable Guy.
I don't really think of that as a comedy, though.
Truman Show. But he was still in...
I think some of them are loose comedy.
I'm just thinking of Jim Carrey movies.
Yeah, I'm trying to think
Ace
of more
Ventura.
comedy. You had that too, Ace Venturas.
Dumb and Dumber.
Dumb and Dumber. Oh my goodness, I always forget about that movie. But the first one,
The Mask,
is one of the greatest movies. The Mask is another good one. I'm glad your brain kicked in. Mine is like still stuck on. I want to.
Recent Sonic movies, he's really funny.
Sonic movies, he's really good. If you want to see a review on Sonic 3, check out our channel where a review is done. You do a very good review on Sonic 3.
You look dapper in there.
A little shameless plug. I almost died from that. I had that tie way too tight. Who was your number one?
My number one is Adam Sandler. I love Adam Sandler movies, from Billy Madison to Mr. Deeds to Happy Gilmore to...
I've only saw Mr. Deeds once.
To it's not Daddy's Home. It's
Big Daddy.
Big Daddy. Grown Ups. Some of his new stuff is, I think, it's a lot more hate than it should. What's that one movie?
You have the Mystery Boat one, which I hated.
Murder Mystery with Jennifer Hudson. 50 First Dates I like. With Drew Barrymore. Wedding Singer.
I always forget about Wedding Singer. It's hilarious.
What's that one movie where he's like a spy, but he goes undercover in New York? And then...
Is that the Kevin James one?
Zohan.
Oh, that movie is weird.
But it's Adam Sandler movie I enjoy for some reason.
You don't mess with the Zohan.
Yeah. Adam Sandler's one of those comfy, you can just watch any time of the year. That's why
Crazy Nights.
Hotel Transylvania.
Yeah.
I mean, we're just...
you went a lot more newer than I
did. But Adam Sandler is my number one.
My number 2 is Robin Williams, I think, easily. And Robin Williams could have easily been number 1, too.
Top 10.
Robin Williams is one of those, though. I love his stand-up more than some of his movies. That's why, but he's still high. My thing is with Robin Williams, sometimes I forget the movies he's in. Not that he's unforgettable. It's just he's been in so much.
Like, to me, Robin Williams movies that come to me is him in serious movies, not more comedy movies.
Right. Yeah. But some, like, I would say his, like, Mrs. Doubtfire is kind of up there, but like we said earlier, that's a mixed comedy for me. And right now I'm blanking on his comedy. I used to not be this bad about
Hook
movies. Hook, I guess, could be up there. That's kind of a
Mr.
mix.
Flubber.
Flubber was a good one.
Old Dogs with
Old Dog. Yeah, it was him. Was it him? Travolta.
Yeah, and
Seth Green.
Yeah.
Even though it's not a comedy, I recommend watching Patch Adams. That is one of the greatest movies of all time.
Good Morning Vietnam.
Good Morning Vietnam is a mix of comedy and I guess you could say war.
I'm surprised I got that. He was in Jumanji.
I hate that movie. I don't hate it, the movie necessarily. I hate what it's become. I think some people overrate it. I think it's a good movie, but it's not.
Are we talking about the Robin Williams version?
Yeah. It's not the be all end all. I think there were issues in that movie, but that is another good movie. I think the franchise with
Aladdin,
he was the genie. Back, that's iconic. I guess I don't count that as like one of his mainstream because he's more of the supportive. But who's your number two?
My number two is Jim Carrey for the same things you said. Now I didn't grow up on Jim Carrey. Well, I did, but not. I'm talking about like
you didn't grow up when they came out.
When they came out,
yeah.
But same thing you said about Jim Carrey.
Yeah, I don't.
The same what I would say.
And my number three is Adam Sandler, and it's pretty much the same for what you said. There for years, Waterboy was like, if I needed a laugh, Waterboy got popped in. Or Billy Madison, or basically his big three of Waterboy, Billy Madison, or Happy Gilmore. I used to act out a lot of Billy Madison when I was in school. Because that came out, 97? So
around that time.
But that's my number three.
My number three, and you might not think of him a comedy guy, but Ben Stiller. I like his supporting act, like underdog story of the dodgeball movie with Vince Vaughn. Him and Meet the Parents, Nose franchise.
Heavyweights. Did you ever watch?
I did watch Heavyweights.
Is good.
Which there's actually a conspiracy theory about that. The Heavyweights and the dodgeball movie.
Yeah.
You know what? I don't know if you saw. His characters in Adam Sandler movies, if you ever could tell, they're basically the same. Another conspiracy theory with that. Movie you don't forget, Zoolander. Zoolander is funny to me.
People rip on Zoolander, but I'm sorry, that is. And there's people in that movie I don't like, and it's.
What is the movie where he's trying to find his woman? What is that movie Ben Stiller was in?
Something About Mary.
I think it was that movie.
That's him, Cameron Diaz.
And his
Brett Favre.
Yeah, his dad was also in that movie.
Yes. Yeah, his dad was in Night in Museum. Another Robin Williams movie. I always forget. You notice him and Owen Wilson are in a lot of stuff together. I never thought about that.
Ben Stiller?
Yeah.
Owen Wilson could have made my list too.
There was another Ben Stiller that just popped on my head and then disappeared. Crap. Oh, Starsky and Hutch.
Oh, yeah.
Even though people who might have watched the original show, Starsky and Hutch movie is pretty good.
Yeah, but Ben Stiller is my number three.
My number four is, and I don't know how much of his stuff you've watched without other people, really, because he did a lot of work with other people, Chris Farley. Chris Farley, unfortunately, I think he was another overdose victim, but he would have been the next major, comedy star. For the same reason I mentioned Black Sheep. His work with David Spade. I don't know if you ever saw it, but Airheads with him, Adam Sandler, and
it was when they're like
that's where they
rock group.
Yeah, and they take over the radio station to get their music played. He was the cop, and then everybody ran him over.
He was a bus driver, and
him and Adam Sandler worked together. But see, how often in Hollywood do you hear about somebody as beloved as Chris Farley? I mean, everybody loved him. Beverly Hills Ninja. I would say he was in more as somebody else's. He was more the side. But when he was in that, he made that. Especially like in Billy Madison, where him and the Penguin getting together. It was him and the Penguin. Yeah, it was him and the Penguin. Kind of had their little thing. But Chris Farley, legend, and just think if that wouldn't, his untimely death wouldn't have happened. He would have been probably easily number one.
I hate to say it because but I feel like the same path Kevin James went on would have been the same path Chris Farley would have went on. Not saying that they would have went exactly the same movie road, but kind of maybe they would have probably like mixed in together on some stuff.
My only thing was Kevin James is you can't give him a leading role.
Yeah.
We never got to see it with Chris Farley hardly. I mean, yeah, he had Tommy Boy, Black Sheep, and a couple of them, and maybe more than that. But I feel like Kevin James has to have somebody else in that role. I remember the movie now. I was trying to think of for Adam Sandler, Ridiculous Six.
Yeah.
That was, a lot of people hate that movie. I find it hilarious, and the best part is Terry Crews. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. Terry Crews could have made my list too.
He's a little bit out. The Wayans, I always put every single Wayan in just the Wayan family. Who was your next?
I got David Spade. David Spade movies I just like. From Tommy Boy to, of course, Joe Dirt. His support. He's a good supporting guy in movies too with comedy. So I got David Spade at number 4.
And he's another one of those that didn't do just movies. He had a couple good TV shows too.
Rules of Engagement. He was
that one is great. That and what was that? There was a
8 Simple Rules.
He was in that.
He took over because
I think a part of me feels like he kind of ruined that show, but I don't think it was his fault.
It was because he had to come in because they lost
John Ritter.
Yeah.
Which could have easily he would have been on this list, but he was more TV than movie when I think of TV.
He was in Emperor's New Groove.
I haven't saw that in forever. Him and Patrick Warburton did a lot together, or has done. There was also a radio station one he did back in the day. David Spade did early 90s. There was a couple of them that were doing stuff like that, like him and Michael J. Fox did one too.
I can't remember.
My last one is Eddie Murphy. Now, Eddie Murphy is like Robin Williams for me. I mean, they're two different levels, obviously. But Eddie Murphy, his stand-up was good. But when I think Eddie Murphy, I automatically think Beverly Hills Cop, which is one of my favorite franchises of all time. But then even as he's gotten older, I feel like he's up and down. But what was that one where he was like the monk and it had Jeff Goldblum in it? I can't remember. I've only saw it like twice, but that's a really, really good movie.
I can't remember either.
And then what was that? 1,000 Words was pretty good, where it was the tree and you could only say so many words. That got funny. A movie that I feel it gets too much hate, Adventures of Pluto Nash. I actually enjoyed Adventures of Pluto Nash. There's been a couple other movies that were borderline that were good with it, but I think Eddie Murphy deserves more comedy respect than he kind of gets. But he's another one that can do more than just comedy though too.
Yeah.
So,
at my number 5, I got Will Ferrell. Now, I don't know. Will Ferrell, I love him in. I like his scene in The Wedding Crashers with Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson, where he's like the main. He was like the OG person of Wedding Crashers. His scene where he's like, "Mom, where's the meatloaf?" is iconic. I really like the Daddy Home movies with him and
Mark Wahlberg.
Mark Wahlberg.
They're in a lot of movies together too.
Because they were also in
They were in Other Guys together.
Other Guys.
And there's something else they were in together.
I just like Will Ferrell in general.
I know we didn't really set up for it, but I do have a couple honorable mentions as we've talked. Even though I know he's not beloved all the time, Rob Schneider has got a lot of funny. Dana Carvey is another honorable mention. And I know we've talked about some of these, but then the Wayans brothers, with their scary movies. Is it
White Chicks?
Is it Damon? Yeah, White Chicks. Damon in Major Payne is a great movie. Do you have any honorable mentions that you?
Not that I can think of.
I think we probably named them as we went. Anyway.
Yeah. Chris Rock. There's some.
Chris Rock has.
Martin Lawrence is funny in Big Mama's House.
Iconic movies. The first one is. I don't remember some of the sequels. That would not be a franchise.
I mean, if you want to put Tyler Perry up there with Medea, that be a pretty funny movie.
Yeah. And we haven't decided on our next pop culture what the next genre is going to be.
Can we go animation?
I don't know if I could do actors. We could do top 10 movies.
That's fine with me.
So animation next time. And we'll define animation off camera, obviously, because animation can go 10 different ways. I'm thinking probably full animation. Not half and half. So no Lego movie. Thank God. Sorry, I hate that movie. But next up we have, now to actually get into the
pop.
Not to quote KSI, but into the thick of it. I don't know. That popped in my head, man.
That song's almost 90 mil.
I wish I had 90 mil.
Views, not. More views would be nice.
Oh, I was thinking
90 mil
money.
views would be good too.
I was thinking money. Anyway, so to start it off with, you have a lot of Scream 7 news, but we're going to start off with my
Scream 5 review.
I finally watched Scream 5
after 4 years.
Came out in
22. So it's 3 years. We'll be 3 years
2021
old.
or 2022?
2022 is 3. It's going to be 3 years old this year.
So, first off, let me get to the reason behind why it took me so long. You know this from seeing what I have over 100 movies to watch, if not more. That not even counting TV shows, anime, all that. To touch on 4 first as like a lead up, because you're gonna have to help me. My memory's trash. I watch too much random stuff. 4 to me is one of the worst in the franchise. Not a horrible movie, but one of the worst. To me, 5 redeemed it. For number 5, I didn't know what all to expect. I'm glad that I got to see Sydney again, which, yes, she's in 4. And yes, Courtney Cox is in 4. And so is... yeah, but I'm thinking of his real name.
David Arquette?
David Arquette, yes, thank you. The thing is, I know they've been in 4 and 5, but seeing those 3 again always brings back 1, 2, and 3. Or, the older ones for me, especially 1. Because I grew up with 1. Like, it come out in 99, 98, 99?
97.
97?
No, take about 96.
Anyway, I was a teenager, early teens, or getting in there. So that was a big franchise for me. I think it lost its way here and there, but with 5, you had the addition of Jenna Ortega.
Melissa
Barrera, yeah, thank you. I can never remember her name. I do like her, though. And you had you had Jack Quaid. I think that's about it for the mains.
Mason Gooding was in there.
Yes. I can't remember the sister's name. His sister's name.
I got it right here. Jasmine Savon Brown.
Yes, thank you. Her. Now, as far as each character, I'll just kind of go over each character if you're okay with that.
That's
not
fine.
The big 3.
That's fine.
But Barrera, I loved the throwback to Loomis. That was great. The Loomis part where it was like she was seeing him and we got to see him, and it was like from his, that was great. What's his real name? You're better.
Skeet Ulrich.
Yeah, Skeet Ulrich did phenomenal for what they had him do. That was a great throwback. I love that thought of throwback. That brought back. I was like, oh sweet. It'd been nice if he was actually in it killing, but
I mean, he's.
I know, but still, that would have been,
understand.
a part of you would have been like, oh, that's awesome. Or like his face on someone else's
Or like
body,
he
I would have been fine. Yeah. Melissa Barrera brought that energy that I felt like we had not had since Sydney at the beginning. I felt that Sydney vibe. I love the backstory of her being the daughter. I love how a random sexual encounter. There were some nods in there for Jamie Kennedy. I loved it. I didn't really catch the nod for Hayden Panettiere. They said there was an Easter egg in there. I didn't catch it.
I didn't. I watched that movie and I haven't.
They even said when, but I love the shout out to Jamie Kennedy's character because he was everybody after this movie came out about scary movies. You don't say certain things, you don't do certain things. I love they added it into the niece and nephew because I would not have thought that was his niece and nephew. But I love the fact that she carried on Jamie Kennedy's vibe, and I kind of like what they did with that little friend group, how they were like Sydney's friend group in the first one. I loved it. I loved all of that. I felt like 5 was an homage to 1, and it re-kicked off the series. Mm-hmm. And it kept my attention. I struggle with movies where I have to be doing something to watch. I spent glued on this movie. Jack Quaid did great. Now, I still have that tendency with movies where I'm sitting there going, oh, well, I'm trying to figure it out. That's what you do. So, like, I figured there was something to him. I didn't figure him being that involved. Amber rubbed me the wrong way, the friend. So I was like, I know she's something about her.
When I kind of figured, Jack Quaid caught me off guard.
It did to an extent, yes.
Because you kind of question the boyfriend and everything because of the first movie.
Yeah.
But Amber, I felt something off because how she was towards.
Because she was a bee.
To Samantha.
Like her, man.
Melissa Barrera to Samantha. It kind of caught me.
Yeah.
I kind of suspected it.
Yeah.
But I really liked the Amber character now looking back at it.
Yeah, when you look back, I like the fact that she wasn't just a peon. Like, she was in depth. I liked her. I just like the way she handled it, because even that movie gave me some twists and turns I didn't see coming. Like the girlfriend of Mason Gooding.
Well, did you know?
Getting her head blown off.
I don't know if you know, but the dude in the bar that got killed by the car. Yes. That was Stu's nephew.
Yeah. They mentioned that. They talk about that. It's those little nods.
My thing with that whole thing is killing off we barely got anything with his nephew. Mm-hmm. For Stu being such a main part of the movies. Right. As a Scream fan, it's like I wish we got more.
Right.
But there's no telling it could lead back into, upcoming.
Yeah, I mean, that could be a reason why we eventually get Matthew Lillard in the future. Possibly. He's coming back. Or somebody tied to that. I think what got me, and I have not saw 6, so we're keeping 6 out of this. I don't know when I'll get to as much Scream 7 news as we always got. I'm sure by the time I do 6, we'll have something, so we'll add to it. But I got the part that got me was what happened to Dewey. But there was some surprise kills in this or deaths I didn't see coming. I kind of popped, to use a wrestling term, when I saw the female cop. I can't remember her name right now.
I can't remember.
But her coming back from 4, and because I'm sitting there, I was like, wait a minute, I thought she died, but then I remembered she did not die in 4. But then she did in this one, and I'm like, I didn't see that coming. I didn't see her. I figured the boy would die.
I thought that they would kill the boy.
And then
kill
or
the
vice versa. Yeah. I like the deaths were gruesome again. But I felt at times I was watching one, and I think that's what I enjoyed about it, was watching the first one again.
Well, how did you like the reason why they decided to become Ghostface?
I'm going to be honest with you, that was kind of annoying. I kind of didn't like that. I'll be honest on that. I think they've incorporated Stab too much into the franchise. But I think how they got around it was adding all the other nostalgia and the characters who were kin to characters. So I got around that. And I think what made it work too was even the passion I got from Jack Quaid. And I think Jack Quaid has even though he's already got a good future, I think his future is really bright. The work he's done in The Boys has been really good.
I'm excited to see his movie Novocaine.
Novocaine, I think, has potential. And then you have this that he did excellent in, to where if they wouldn't have killed him, I would have been happy to see him back. But even his death was great. Like, I loved it. I love how her inner Billy Loomis came out.
That's what I also like. It's like she's a good guy, but the way she
I like the fence riders. Even, with Jamie Lee Curtis in Halloween, I love the fact that they're willing to, let's end this trash. Let's not keep going. And the surprise in the movie for me, even though I know her work and I like her, even though I haven't saw a lot of her work, Jenna Ortega, because she wasn't in it as much as I thought she was. She was, but she wasn't. She did a great job, especially since some of the scenes she had to carry the movie. Like the beginning, she carried that, first 10 minutes on her own.
And that hospital
Not even 10
scene.
minutes. And the hospital of her wheeling around, like, that usually doesn't get me, but that was like, holy crap, dude, what's about to happen? And Jack Quaid, another thing, he added that little bit of comedy to it. Because some people forget, and I forget it too, there is some comedy in that franchise. And I think over time it's gotten kind of taken out. But this one, I think I was telling you this one to me is like, the first Scream obviously is the best. But then 5 is like right here. Like, it's not far behind 1 for me. And I think it's because of the nostalgia. I felt like nostalgia was there. I don't know if it was the same director who's done any 1 through 4.
No, it was Spyglass did this.
But I feel like whoever helmed this
they got rights to.
was an actual fan of the first one.
See, that's why I'm excited for Scream 7 is because Kevin Williamson's directing it, and he's the one that wrote the first 2.
The first 2, Scream 1 and 2.
Yes.
See, and whenever you can bring back someone like that, and we've saw it in franchises before that love the franchise, you're going to get a good movie.
Especially if it's the brainchild of the whole franchise.
I think it was at the end of this, they thanked Wes Craven. Mm-hmm. Or they did. And see, people sleep on Wes Craven and how talented of a mastermind
I think Wes Craven directed. No,
Wes Craven was.
I think he directed.
It was actually his brainchild. The Scream franchise is. It's his property. Like, he created it. Wes Craven did.
Kevin wrote it and everything, and then Wes helped bring it to life.
Yeah. The thing is, I don't have. I struggle to find many faults in this movie. My thing was the stab thing. That got old, but you even get to see, where they're watching TV, and you get to see some of the stuff on the TV, like some of the older people who played in the movies and stuff like that. I would have to say, are we ready for my actual grade?
You can give it a grade, yeah.
I hold Scream 1 in the A's, like A+. This one to me is like B+, A-. And the reasoning is because everything I said. The fact that I could go watch 1 skip 2, 3, and 4, even though 2 and 3 I don't remember at all. I just remember 4 being the weakest, and it was the reasoning behind the killing was so stupid to me. But this one gets the nod over 4 because of, I feel like there's something more there than just some. Because how many movie franchises have we thought, oh, this sucks, we need to get back to the roots? It happens a lot. But yeah, I would say B plus, A minus.
Okay.
But you have something.
I have Scream 7 news because, of course, they are filming in the ATL.
It's Atlanta for people who don't know what ATL is.
Recently, it came out, and it's very too. Depending on what side you are on for the second one, but the first one is Joe McHale, the funny guy, will be Sydney's husband, and it won't be Mark Kincaid. It'll be Mark Evans, and Patrick Dempsey is, I don't guess.
And not to be spoiler, but I do have a question.
Yes,
husband is mentioned in 5.
The people who did Scream 5 did come out and say it was Mark Kincaid.
Okay, I know.
But Kevin Williamson did not like 3. And that's when Mark Kincaid was involved with Scream 3.
See, and I don't remember. I'd have to go back and watch 3.
Mark Kincaid was a detective and stuff. And at the end, they're all in Sydney's house away.
Right.
And then 5, when she says Mark, it is actually referring to Mark Kincaid.
Oh, so they gave that name as a nod.
Yes.
So to speak. Okay. Because I remember her saying that, and I was like, Mark.
Yeah. But as a Scream fan, everybody thought, okay, Patrick Dempsey's going to return back in this one, so she has a husband. But then we got the news Thursday or Friday that it's Joe McHale.
Which Joe McHale is a really good actor.
Yeah, but to me, he don't seem like it would be Sydney's husband.
As much as I don't like Patrick Dempsey, I think he's overrated. I think him being back would have been good.
Because it's the lore effect. Why keep his name Mark and just change you could still made it Mark Kincaid, his last name, and just recast him.
Right.
But why change up the whole?
That might be some litigation stuff.
Yeah, so. But then why? Because they were in talks with Patrick Dempsey to come back.
Yeah, but he might have some other stuff going.
To me, I just think it.
What about Thanksgiving too?
I would return back for Scream rather than, but he's the main.
If he's already signed in, it could be filming the same time. So
my honest opinion, I think he'll do a good job. I just probably wish it was someone else than Joe McHale.
I think a lot of people are going to be thinking nothing but comedy, but he's done other than comedy.
I know he's done.
I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying some people.
But I wish there was someone.
Yeah, because I've been on that casting thing where I think they're going to suck and they end up being good.
I think he's going to do a good job. Now, some of the rumors is he's going to be the killer. That's not going to happen because they have a 16-year-old daughter.
That's too far-fetched.
They have a 16-year-old daughter. Why would all of a sudden now?
And why would he go after Sydney?
Yeah. I could see him dying.
Yeah.
And then that'd be a reason why.
Early in the movie.
Yeah. Then other Scream news is Jasmine Savoy Brown is returning back to be, I forgot what her name was.
She
Mindy.
is one of the twins.
Mindy.
Yeah. She was one of my favorites.
Now, I know a lot of people aren't happy that she's returning back for certain reasons. I'm not gonna name. But
she's gay?
No, I don't want to say. I'll tell you off.
Okay. It must be bad then.
But I'm excited for her to return back because it brings some of the 5 and 6 back. It's not like, we're going to this completely different story. Right. It's adding in the Mason Gooding, the twins. I'm just going to say twins, make it easy. It's back into the movie. I'm hoping they don't kill off one of them. Just to leave it open for if Melissa Barrera and Jenny Ortega return back. Next pop culture, we'll have a lot more.
Yeah,
because they'll probably be done filming by that point.
And I promise to watch Scream 6 by then.
But I'm waiting on some more news. We'll probably get a synopsis of what it's probably going to be about. I do know Kevin Williams has said, I didn't write this down, but there will be more than, it kind of could be spoilerly, but there will be more than 2 killers in this one. I think he's going to go back and try to do what he was going to do for 3 and have a cult of Ghostface.
Stab, the people who love Stab are basically the cult.
That's apparently what I think it's going to be about, but certain situations with going on in that time period, if you know, you know, that's why they didn't go with that story.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So that's basically all the Scream 7 news I have, but the next time in a month I'll have more.
The leader of the cult is Stu Macher.
That's what I'm hoping.
That would be awesome. We're calling it here.
Or it could be, because there's also rumors that Jill from 4 is still alive. That it's him, that it's him, Stu Macher, and her running the cult.
Could be.
And that would be, that to me, as a Scream fan, would be awesome. Because
just wait and see.
You just have to wait and see. But going from Scream 7 news, which I'll have more over the upcoming to the next one.
And I'll make sure to watch 6 too.
Yeah.
That way.
I have some Welcome to Derry movie, the It prequel. I got this off of Discussing Films, which is a very good, reliable source for stuff like this.
Which I think we follow him on Twitter.
I do. On my personal account and on the podcast we do. Andy Muschietti says, and I could be saying his last name wrong, I apologize if you ever see this, says that they have 3 seasons planned for the It prequel season, 27 years apart, going back in time each season. So it's not going 27s in the future.
Right.
It's actually going back in time, which I don't remember a TV series ever doing that, going back in time.
Maybe Hollander, but it was like snippets. It wasn't an actual full show.
It would go 27 years going back in time each season. So, after just recently watching both the newer It sequels, I'm not full like fan of them like I am with slasher movies, but I will probably give it a watch.
Yeah, because it reaches out through so many genres.
Yeah,
that one does.
And then, do you have anything else to say on that, or?
I mean, I'm looking forward to it. The concept of it going back in time I think could be really good. Not to mention,
it interests me. You know,
well, like you said, you don't. I've only saw that in like Hollander. I mean, you see it in movies, but with Hollander, it was just like an episode, like 10 minutes to help you understand what's happening. But this going back, I mean, golly, that to me, I don't know. I can't believe I said golly, but. No, I love the concept. That's the only thing I'll say is the concept is going to be phenomenal.
And then I got some Blumhouse news.
I say Blumhouse.
Blumhouse, whatever. Blum something. The first trailer for The Woman in the Yard, starring Danielle Deadwyler. I don't know how to pronounce this.
Detweiler.
The film follows a woman in black who appears on a family's front lawn. No one knows where she came from, what she wants, or when she will leave.
I promise you it's not filmed in the South. You don't just step on somebody's yard like that.
I saw a lot of cornfields, so it could be the Midwest.
Nebraska.
Maybe. Midwest somewhere. I
don't know why it said corn. I think Nebraska. Cornhuskers.
Yeah.
Football.
To me, Blumhouse puts out a lot of movies.
Yeah, and it's hard to tell when it's theirs because they work with so many other companies.
Yeah. They're hit and miss. It comes out March 28th. Which I feel like they got a movie coming out this month. They got Wolfman that just came out.
They almost have a movie every month. I think that's what's hurt them. So they put out, but they work with like A24. They work with Paramount. I mean, they work with everyone.
I didn't get to watch the trailer yet. I know I said first trailer, but
what is happening with your hand right now? Like you're doing all kind of movements and.
But.
Like Spider-Man.
I'll watch the trailer. Hopefully, we have more news. I should have more on this by March 28th.
Yeah.
Because that's still 3 months away. Yeah. 3 in like a couple days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What, 3 and 9 days or something? 3 months and 9 days?
Yeah.
So 99 days.
So what do you think?
I would need more. The problem with Blumhouse, they do a lot more mind type stuff. More like stuff like that.
Mind messers.
Well, yeah, it's stuff like that kind of gets boring fast for me. And then they've done some that's like really good. That's more like vampire or that type horror. That's more mine. But they knew more about the human like mentality stuff, and some of that stuff I just get bored, honestly. So,
well, to go away from being spooky,
let's go comic book movie.
We're going comic book movie, and I'm actually starting this off now.
Yeah.
I got some Supergirl news, which I need a trailer, which we'll probably get one after Superman.
Yeah.
But Millie Alcock, Supergirl, will appear in Superman. Now, I don't know a lot of her work.
Supergirl or Millie Alcock?
No, I know about Supergirl. I'm not. But Millie Alcock, I really don't.
I think she's more of a.
I think she was
relative unknown.
I think she was the princess in the newer version of Game of Thrones. But
House of Dragons.
Yeah.
House of Dragon, do you know? Sorry.
But my other it just went off the screen. Fat finger, fat thumb.
Oh, I thought you were talking to me, and I was like, I know, but you ain't got to call me out.
David Krumholtz and Emily Beecham have been cast as Supergirl's parents in Supergirl Women of Tomorrow.
David Krumholtz, if I remember correctly, is off the show Numbers, where he was like the smart genius that could use numbers. He helped like FBI or something. Beecham, I have no clue.
Well, what do you think? Is that what you? No, that's all.
I have some Supergirl news that I'm more excited
about. That's probably better than my Supergirl news.
Jason Momoa, my Aquaman king, which
Roman Reigns' brother.
I just watched. Actually, I would have watched Roman Reigns as Aquaman. That would have actually been pretty good. Could you imagine him Superman punching a fish?
I can't.
That would have been awesome. Or like spearing a squid.
All the ink comes out.
The ink goes everywhere. Like when he, and then Paul Heyman something in the background doing this, and Jacob Fatu going, "We love you, Solo." Like, and it's like Solo's not even in the movie. Who is Solo in the movie? Anyway, sorry I got on a tangent. I just watched the second Aquaman. Thought it was pretty good.
It was.
But Jason Momoa is no longer Aquaman.
R.I.P.
And I think we're gonna get more of a traditional blonde hair style.
Pale. Starfish on the nose.
Pale, but I mean, he could summon a can of sardines. That too.
Did he have a starfish on his nose?
No.
Or am I thinking about a?
You're thinking of from SpongeBob. And that not Barnacle. What was that Barnacle boy and whatever? I think he had this. I don't know. Now I wasn't a SpongeBob guy. I don't know. But Jason Momoa. I was kind of forced into that. We'll talk about that later. But Jason Momoa is returning as Lobo in the Supergirl movie. Lobo, I got mixed feelings on him as a character. He's kind of like your like Deadpool to an extent. He's more of a fence rider, anti-hero. But Jason Momoa, if you look at Lobo, to me, this is my opinion and an opinion of a lot of people. You put Jason Momoa picture and Lobo, it's like spot on. I won't struggle with seeing Momoa as Lobo as much as RDJ playing Doomsday. Mm-hmm. And to me, it's two different levels. To me, Momoa should have always been Lobo. There is no question. He was great as Aquaman, don't get me wrong. But he should have always been one part. The Robert Downey Jr. kind of hits on a different level. I'm not going to get into that. But Supergirl, to me, is looking like Superman 2.0. I don't want to say 2.0, but same level, kind of. Superman's always higher because of the merchandise. But Supergirl looks like it could be an extravaganza as well. And I think that's going to be a movie to watch in August. Or September is when it's come out. And when I say movie to watch, I mean, look for it to do really well. Now, it's going to depend on Superman, because Supergirl is kind of like, it's overlooked in the DC properties, because she's had like 2 or 3 transformations and storylines. But I trust James Gunn.
Okay.
at this point. Until we see something bad, because I've not watched Creature, I expect him to do well.
Okay. I got some news on Swamp Thing. I don't know if it fully has been announced or anything.
Right.
But James Mangold says the Swamp Thing movie will be simple gothic horror movie. He said, while I'm sure DC views Swamp Things as a franchise, I will be viewing it as a very simple, clean gothic horror movie. Also got that off Discussing Films.
And see, the thing with Swamp Thing, it should be. Because he is part of what they considered the dark, DC dark, like Constantine, all them. It's more supernatural. And there's been some good stuff done. Some of the animated stuff's really good. But I recommend watching... I can't remember if it was CW, but it wasn't on, but maybe, I think, less than 10 episodes. That was really good. I think that was a good derivative. Now, that's going to go back to depend... And James Mangold does good stuff. But that's going to depend on what character they... Because there was a couple of different people who were Swamp Thing. So it's going to depend on what they do comic-wise. So.
I got some DC Studio news. James Gunn says they're developing a separate DC Studios opening for Elseworlds projects.
Which, I said we touch on that more later, but
when we get
some of the
more.
Elseworlds stuff is a lot of your standalone type stories. I think even at one point they were saying that the Batman with Robert Pattinson might be in Elseworlds. But I know it's considered a different DC universe. So.
Okay. Well, you said you had some news you would like to share with us?
I do. Which portion? What was next?
I got Gladiator now.
Okay, so kind of a change up. This is more, I would say, like action-adventure genre. You know, maybe...
I think what we're going to
some
try to
thriller
implement is sections
Yeah, I think that's
of
easier.
what we want to keep our news, rather than being going all over the place.
Yeah, because I think talking about comedy and then horror and then comedy again is kind of like throws off the certain thing. But so they have finally released a date for Mortal Kombat 2. It's scheduled to be theatrically released by Warner Brothers Pictures on October 24th of this year. Pretty much the same cast is returning, for main characters, but Carl Urban, legend, Boys, Doom, Lord of the Rings, Dredd, which we need another Dredd movie, will be playing Johnny Cage. Honestly, the two I thought would be the two best was The Miz. I think that should have been more than a meme. I think he would have been a great Johnny Cage. Looks and all, he's got it. But Carl Urban, as much as I love The Miz, has that acting foundation. I mean, he's a good actor, great actor.
You're saying The Miz and Marine wasn't a good actor?
He's better acting with his wrestling than... Those movies, I think they just ham it up. I think if you gave him a better story or, better and more, I think he could have done better with what was given. But that's just the way I'm glad they got out of that. Now, a movie that I think people are going to end up sleeping on because there's not a lot been put out there about it. Nobody 2 is finally, I got a synopsis, so to speak, for Nobody 2. It's obviously an upcoming American action thriller film directed by Timo Tjahjanto. It's I'm assuming the T is probably silent right there. And written by Derek Kolstad. I'll probably pronounce that wrong too. Aaron Robin and Bob Odenkirk and Umar Aleem. But it serves as the sequel to the 2021 film, which, in my opinion, was a breakout movie.
Oh, yeah.
Like, nobody expected it to be that good. Everybody's like, oh, John Wick 2.0. And it's like, not really, because it's way different. I would almost say Nobody 2 and John Wick are same level for me. I've saw Nobody 2 like 4 or 5 times. But Bob Odenkirk is returning. Connie Nielsen's returning as his wife. RZA is returning as his brother. Michael Ironside is the father-in-law. Colin Salmon, I believe, is the brother-in-law. I think that's him. And then Christopher Lloyd is going to be returning as his dad. Actually, Gage Monroe and Paisley Cordorath, I think, might be his kids, I believe. And then joining the cast this time is Sharon Stone, which it's not been released on who they are. It's just new characters. Colin Hanks, which is Tom Hanks' son. John Ortiz, I'm not sure who that is. At first I was thinking the UFC guy, but that's Tito.
Yeah.
McKenna Grace, who you're a fan of. I know her just a little bit. I don't know a lot of her stuff. And Chris Pine, who I'm a huge fan of. I love Chris Pine. They'll all be playing new characters, but the film is scheduled for release in North America, which is us, on August the 15th, 2025. To me, if it's half as good as the first one, it's going to be good.
Oh, yeah. I love the first one.
So,
well, I got some streaming news of action movie. Gladiator 2. I don't know why will be streaming on Paramount Plus.
Denzel Washington.
Paramount Plus July. January 21st, which is Tuesday.
2 days from now.
So, 2 days from now.
Yeah, this video.
So if you got Paramount Plus or are you interested in seeing Gladiator 2, it's on Paramount Plus starting streaming January 21st.
Which we do plan on watching it. So.
Yes.
What was next? Me?
Yes, it's your turn.
So we've kind of re-scripted right before the shoot. But what's it? Video games or
top anticipated movies. No, actually, I still got more news.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you do. Yeah.
The recent announced Shrek movie that was supposed to come out July 1st of 2026. It's actually been moved to December. I think around Christmas time of 2026 in December, but taking the place from that movie is another Minions 3 movie that's happening July 1st of 2026. Now, Minions make a lot of money for DreamWorks.
Yeah.
That's all I have as right now. There's no story points or anything right there. Just it was delayed to December 2026. And then Minions 3. I think it's getting fast tracked to that date, July 1st, 2026.
Well, I have some more synopsis stuff. And it's funny, I'm looking forward to this movie, but I still have not saw the first one all the way. But Zootopia 2 will star Jennifer Goodwin and Jason Bateman, which Jennifer Goodwin, why did I say Godwin, will be back as Judy Hopps, and Jason Bateman will be back as Nick Wilde. But its schedule will be released in the United States on November 26, 2025. And this is, I'll finish this and I'll say what I was going to say, but detectives Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde must go undercover in Marsh Market to crack the case when they find themselves on the twisting trail of a mysterious reptile. Probably a snake. My thing is, like, we have 2 or 3 synopses. Well, I alone have like 4 or 3 on my own. The funny thing is, to me, I remember back in the day, you used to get trailers a lot quicker. November is 10 months away, but at the same time, people are gonna forget, and then all of a sudden there's a trailer out and it's like, well, I already got plans to watch something else. It feels like trailers, and maybe it's because we're doing the podcast and so we know now, but it feels like we're not getting trailers as fast as usually 6 months and we got a trailer, which I know this is 10, but we're always seeing snippets or stuff like that. And I know we hadn't had Super Bowl yet, and that kicks off a lot of that. But where's our trailers for some of this, stuff? Even in April, we're not getting
Disney,
stuff.
Because that would be a Disney Pixar movie. I think they're Pixar. Usually they they don't really release a lot. Disney to me don't really release.
I mean, like in general. We're not getting it. And maybe that's because we're so streaming now,
and that might be having to do with studios.
Yeah, and budget possibly too. I don't know.
Yeah, because we got Superman in December, and it don't come out till July.
Right,
and we still don't even have a Fantastic Four trailer yet.
Yeah.
Or Jurassic World. We're coming out the same month. So I'm thinking it's studios, it's companies.
Right.
Because a lot of people save all their money.
And it could be showing it
at the Super Bowl.
Well, even like we haven't been to the movies either, so there might be some trailers on that. I forgot. I hadn't thought about that. I used to go to. But my next one is, and I love the first one, but The Bad Guys 2 is scheduled to be released in the United States on August the 1st this year. But the synopsis is 5 years after the events of the first film, the bad guys are struggling to find trust and acceptance in their newly minted lives as good guys. When they are pulled out of retirement and forced to do one last job by an all-female squad of criminals called the Bad Girls, who are fans of their earlier exploits. I don't know how I feel about that. Because the first one to me is like iconic. The comedy, the action, the way it was done, the whole heist. I love heist scenario movies.
I love bank robbing movies.
Yeah, anything like that I think is good. Throwing in a whole nother team, is that going to hurt and take away from seeing the other ones? Sometimes that does hurt. I'm looking forward to it. So I mean, that's.
I'm always good for a good animation movie.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just like animation movies.
As long
and
as
I like the first one.
Yeah. But next up we have our
gaming portion.
Top five
anticipated movies.
Now I didn't really go in order. You went more of in order. So since you went in order and I kicked off the comedy, you get to kick off your.
I'm gonna go Superman. And I think if you poll the majority of the people in the world of America, the world of
America,
Earth, I think 85% would say Superman. Just let alone the trailer, everything. I'm so ready for July to come around for Superman to come out.
Well, it's an iconic property. Mm-hmm. Now I didn't put mine in order, so I'm just gonna say my first one: Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. Yes, I'm Mission Impossible behind again on a lot of these franchises, but Mission Impossible to me is one of those that started off strong with the first one, had a little bit of issues, and then got real strong again. And I love Tom Cruise. So
my second movie is Michael, which is the Michael Jackson biopic. I'm a big fan of biopics. I'm a big fan of Michael Jackson is one of the biggest personalities, people on the face of the world.
And nobody can really take his spot as King of Pop.
Yeah, and there's so much story they could do, especially since it's the the Jackson family actually doing this movie.
Well, it's directed by Antoine Fuqua. Mm-hmm. Well, he's a great director. That's all.
And so I'm excited to see it because I think it's gonna be one of the best biopics of all time, in my opinion. Just because
there's been some good ones,
and just because of it being Michael Jackson, let alone.
And I'm sure some of it's gonna be like real footage. I'd imagine too. My next one is 28 Years Later. When 28 Days Later first came out, all those years ago, 28 years ago, or however long. It was considered an independent film, widely overlooked. But as years have went by, it's become a cult classic. And then, of course, you have Crispin Glover. Is that his name? I think it's Crispin Glover. Has become considered one of the greatest actors, I would say, in the past, 10 years easily. Mm-hmm. Between Oppenheimer.
You mean Cillian Murphy?
Cillian Murphy. Why was I thinking the other one? But Cillian Murphy has, really pushed, he's up there now. Mm-hmm. But with Oppenheimer, I had the movies right. It's just, Crispin Glover is like the younger version of him. to an extent.
I was thinking McLovin off of.
No, Crispin Glover was like on Back to the Future and stuff like that. He played Wilford, the one that with the rats. But Crispin Glover did that. He did Oppenheimer, Peaky Blinders, which every time Cillian Murphy.
Yeah.
Cillian Murphy, not Cillian. But he's also in Batman Begins as Scarecrow. And if you ever get a chance, watch Red Eye. He's the villain in Red Eye. That is an excellent movie. I think Amy Adams is in that. There's a couple of them that all look alike to me. I guess so does Cillian. It's pronounced Cillian Murphy, I believe.
It is.
But he's an actor. I like watching his movies. His range is crazy. But 28 Years Later is one of my top 5.
I'm going to go with a slasher from back in the day that's coming out with a remake. I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Do you? Because I don't remember.
What did I do last summer? Oh, I don't want to remember last summer. I Know What You Did Last Summer. I'm excited for it because I like the first one. And they're bringing back Jennifer Love Hewitt, which I love Jennifer Love Hewitt.
She'll be able to talk to ghosts in this one.
Was she able to talk to ghosts in life?
I mean, she was the ghost whisperer.
Freddie Prinze Jr.'s back, and he's a big wrestling fan. And he wrote for WWE. I don't know why I threw him that. Did Michelle Gellar?
Sarah Michelle Gellar?
Yeah, did her character die in the movie?
Yeah, she did.
Yeah. I'm excited for the new cast they're bringing in too. Because I know pretty good amount of them. And I'm excited to see. I love a good slasher movie, and I think it's going to be really good. But that's my number 3.
Well, see, the only reason that's not as high as Scream is because of the time they came out.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, mine's in no order, but my next one's Superman. Same reasoning. I think James Gunn has the potential to bring DC in films back. I, like most people, was skeptical about who's playing Superman, but then the trailer, some of the set pictures, I kind of like what they're doing with the suit, with some of the set pictures. I think he'll do good. David Cornsweet, I think he'll do good. I don't feel like we've gotten enough of Lois Lane yet, but I think we will. Jimmy Olsen's there. I don't care. I think Nathan Fillion is going to be great. I love the casting. Nicholas Holt's going to be my guy to watch as Lex.
Oh, yeah.
But that's kind of like my third one.
The 4th, I have The Monkey.
Which is very soon. Like, that's in a couple weeks.
I like the concept of it. I like how every time the monkey claps, something bad happens.
Yeah.
It's a Blumhouse movie, I think.
And Stephen King.
King. I'm really interested because I'm into horror movies right now.
Not right now. You've always been a horror.
Oh, yeah. I love horror movies.
I think this is more out of your usual horror, though.
Yeah, I'm more of the slasher. This is more like supernatural, I would think. Yeah. But that's my number 4.
My 4, and the casting looks like it might suck, but Tron Ares is up there. Now, the casting has...
your favorite Jared Leto in it?
Jared Leto in it, which, in all honesty, Jared Leto is a hit-and-miss guy.
Yeah.
So we might get the best Jared Leto we've ever saw. But the original Tron is one of my favorite sci-fi movies of all time. I believe it was it Jeff Bridges or Bo? I think it was Jeff Bridges was in the original. And then I thought Tron Legacy was good, which is about his son, Garrett Hedlund. I couldn't remember his name earlier. It popped in my head.
I've only seen Tron Legacy.
I thought that was pretty good. But I like the concept of Tron and all that. Tron Ares, from what I understand, is supposed to be I'll have to get more news on it because I don't think we've really touched on it much. I think it's a direct sequel. Kind of like how Legacy was like, I think it's just going down the line. I'm not 100% sure. But that's like one of my top 5 as well.
Number 5 for me is Thunderbolts.
I just looked at your list and saw Joe Dirt and I was like, dude, that's been out for 30 years. That's my bad.
I got Thunderbolts at number 5 because my honest opinion, I also love Florence Pugh, but that's another thing.
Who doesn't?
I think it's going to be very underrated. Just I think there's something there, and I'm anticipated for it. And I really like the trailer. I thought it was really good, and I think it's going to be underrated.
This might be a hot take. Thunderbolts could be the MCU movie of the year. And the reason I say it is not just because they're like the superhero Breakfast Club, Rat Pack, whatever, Brat Pack, whatever you want to call it. The star power in this, I think, is going to be good enough. With Sebastian Stan returning, especially if he's back to some of his old roots as Winter Soldier, Florence Pugh, as much as I'm not the biggest fan of the character, I feel like she can run with anything. Like, you hand it to her, she'll run with it. As much as I can't stand David Harbour's part, can't remember his name.
A Red Guardian?
Yeah, Red Guardian. I feel like you give him something and he can run with it. I actually thought his portrayal as Hellboy was pretty good. So they have that acting there, but can they make it happen? The guy who plays the leader is really good too. I love the guy who plays Agent. What's his name? Son. Kurt Russell's son did a great job. So I think the cast is there. I'm more worried about the story, but the cast is there. Mm-hmm. I feel like we're getting Avengers B team is what, and I love the Thunderbolts. I have a lot of the Thunderbolts comics. It's a team that they've kind of weirdly put together, but I like enough to where we actually have it slated for one of our movie reviews. That's how much we're looking forward to it. My final movie of my 5 is Supergirl, for the same reason as Superman. Supergirl is one of those that has had changes in character a couple times, mm-hmm. but it's kind of funny how she is like, if I remember correctly, she's technically older than Superman, but younger, if that makes sense because of the way it worked. But I don't know Miley Acock. I don't know if I pronounce her name right.
Yes.
The last name. I don't know if she'll be as good as I thought. Sasha Calle from Flashpoint did a good job, but I like the fact that they're trying to get people who are less known. They have talent, but they're not megastars. I think a lot of the problem with both DC and MCU, they just go after a megastar. Let's build some people up, type. But for Supergirl, with now the addition of Jason Momoa, even if it's 10 minutes, I think that helps. But Supergirl has a great story. And I think that's just the potential of having Superman and then Supergirl with Peacemaker in the middle, and all that happening. I think we have potential of another blockbuster. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of my 5th one. Now, if I had to put these in order, since you did yours in order, I would have put Superman, Mission Impossible, Supergirl, 28 Years Later, and then Tron. And Mission Impossible and Superman are almost interchangeable. Mm-hmm. But Superman is up there, even though I'm not the biggest comic book fan of his because of the Boy Scout thing. I like to see he has some of my favorite villains. Like Lex Luthor is one of my favorite villains. And I have a feeling that Superman is going to be setting up, which we already know this, even though Creature Commandos is the beginning, Superman's like a major lead in. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's going to be phenomenal. Kind of like AJ Styles. So.
Well, I have we're in our gaming.
Yeah, we actually have a little bit of gaming.
God of War, the TV. I think it was going to be a TV show.
Yeah, I think it was like a mix.
It has officially been canceled by PlayStation and Sony.
Yeah. I have a feeling they decided to do another game instead of a show.
I think so. Which, to me, honestly, I've never played the games or anything, but I know the story and I watched gameplay. I feel like it could be a good movie or show.
I'd rather see it as a movie, I think.
I think, to me, it's one of those movies you could see be one.
Well, I think it's been rumored as a movie a couple of times now, but then they'll put out a game and it's like, wow. I don't play the games either because this style of hack and slash is not my style of game. I know. I don't know if video caught that or not. My stomach going nuts. But if you want to see like a good take on the game timeline, the mythology timeline, go watch. Oh man, I can't think of their names now. I almost don't want to say it, but he does all the different video games and the timelines and where they fall in. God of War, I love the concept because I love the different like Greek mythology, Norse mythology. I love all those mythologies. Ragnarok was fun to watch. The cinematics have gotten so good over the years. And the guy who voices God of War, I would want to play God of War in the movie. I would want him to play the part. He's perfect. The addition of his son, I thought would be horrible. It's actually been really good. So yeah, I mean, but I think they made the right decision, especially if they put it down to the game. You're making way more movie or more money on the game than you are the movie.
You can visually get to.
Yeah, I mean,
and if done right, here's the thing: if they do it right, they could, like how Sonic the movie has. If they do it right, there is money involved.
As much as people crap on the Assassin's Creed movie, I thought it was a good movie. I've watched it 4 or 5 times.
And it was probably done by the wrong people. There's no.
I mean, because I never hear about Michael Fassbender being bad. It was the story, and I'm like, well, here's the thing: it's hard to make a video game into the movie. Like some movies, you can do that with. There is such a history and legacy of Assassin's Creed, even though I won't get into what's going on now with the games. But when the first 3 or 4, that would be hard to turn them into a movie. It's almost, certain games should never be a movie. Mm-hmm. It should never be a TV. Let's leave it, in the past. That usually what works for that is like Sonic was a good one. Mario can be if done right.
I think Mario needs to stay in the animation area.
Yeah.
Because of all the different worlds.
Yes.
But same thing
let's do different talent next time. That's a different. I have something that's kind of like a rumor on Helldivers. Mm-hmm. I have a mixed feelings towards Helldivers, but to give credit, this idea, an article was done by Brendan Haney of CBR. But Helldivers will be getting a movie. It's not if, it's a matter of time when, but it will be live action, which is great. My only thing is it's a lot like Starship Troopers. So that's the only difference. But the movie could explore, and this is where his rumor and ideas come in. The movie could explore the relationship between Super Earth and the forces that they are battling, even uncovering the secret propaganda that Super Earth might be creating enemies to keep their population busy. It could also be the case that the film is a classic, cheesy, sci-fi action movie, which I think would be best. Like the early 90s, the mid 90s kind of, or Blade Runner, stuff like that. Or any of the Van Damme, Jean-Claude movies, something like that. Demolition Man, Judge Dredd. But following a group of Helldivers as they stop a major threat to humanity. One thing I've noticed about like playing Helldivers 2, there's not much of a story other than you go kill things, defeat monsters and stuff. That's one of those where I think it'd be easier to make a movie because you just come up with a story that makes sense.
Yeah, just put the big boss.
Yeah, or even it could be a human that's creating the monsters for these planets. But I would watch it. I don't know if I would theater watch it. I'd have to, they'd have to really.
Depending on how the trailer makes it look.
Yeah, and sometimes trailer is the best part of a movie. That's happened, but it's kind of like all I got.
Well, we recently played Marvel Rivals.
Yes.
Now, yes, of course, I think we're a little bit behind on, but
it's usually better to be behind than ahead on some of that.
Quick review. It don't have to be long. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Need to get better at actually attacking
which we only played. I mean,
Like two
you know,
and a hour and a half.
well, I was thinking like 7 games. That's total 6, 7. 2 of them were against AI to kind of just learn how to move around. We won, by the way. We did beat AI.
Can you lose that?
Yeah, because we were playing with real people. So I mean, you could. I really have no negatives on it. My only negative is more like menu movement.
Character selection.
Character selection was because at times I couldn't tell who I was on. I already got my 2 favorite characters. Learning how to play some of the characters is going to be wild, I think, because like Iron Man to me was the worst character, but then I saw people play him really well. I think it's just a matter of difficulty. But my 2 favorite ones was Wolverine and Squirrel Girl.
My favorite was who's the guy in the latest Black Panther? Fish guy.
Who?
Namor.
Namor
Was one of my favorite, and Punisher with his guns.
He's got that massive turret. That turret will destroy you if it's used right.
And Moon Knight. I like Moon Knight also.
Yeah, my only... it's another game with the battle pass or season pass. I'm tired of that. Even though I did buy it. Yeah. But I have a problem, dude. It's like AA for gaming. I don't know. I was originally one of those people who thought it was an Overwatch copy, but it's not even close. I mean, not close at all. Because I played a lot of Overwatch, and to me, it's not even close. To me, in Overwatch, I'm not saying everybody was easy to play, but you could pretty much play anyone, and then it was fine. In this, there's a difficulty between each character.
Oh, yeah.
To where I'm sitting here like, I'll never play them because this feels like I wouldn't learn them. I feel like this is something we'll play more of. I'm not playing ranked. I do sweat to always play ranked.
I don't feel like sweating playing.
But yeah, I would say if I had to give it a grade for just what little bit we played, I would say A.
I'd give
like
it
A minus.
I'd give it a B plus, A minus.
The menus, and I'm not talking about just select a character. The menus in general, I don't like the cursor type situation where you have to move around to the. I like up and down and stuff like that, which you can use that, but it's still a little awkward.
Yeah.
It was a little misleading, the event tab, because I thought it meant there was a single player. It's not. It's just like saying, hey, if you do this, you earn this. And here's a little bit of reading. Why would I want to read it if it ain't going to matter? That's the only thing that knocks it down. I was going to knock it down for some of the characters sucking, but then I realized there is a difficulty star gauge to the left. That's why some of them are tough. So I kind of was like, well, that's actually good. You got to learn how to play. So yeah, I would give it that grade.
I'd give it about the same.
But now in the future, we do plan on doing lengthier game reviews. This was just like a spur of the moment. But hopefully you enjoyed. Well, not you, but you. We enjoyed.
Yeah.
And we're working on getting this more outlined so that it's not all over the place. We look to have probably more. There'll be more screen because it'll be a couple weeks before we film again. I will watch the 6th one for a small review, and we'll go from there.
Yeah.
But until next time, we'll see you later.
Peace.